by the cave entrance. And here we are in a flower field. Pogo and Belle. And she offers a kiss, and he's shy, and he does the thing. He turns into big old vacuum lips there. And just in the middle of the night, they come and steal her back. So, Gori, I could use the help. No? I clobbered you unconscious a little too well earlier? Fair enough. Hi, Zaki. Zaki and his minions show up. Zaki flamboyantly tosses his hair at me. And, this battle is going to be even easier than the last time we did it. Not just because we have more things to fight with, but because he only does about 1 damage at a time with his counter, and his groin lizard only does a few hit points of damage. Meanwhile, we can keep doing that. We can just keep doing a leg drop on him. And we will. And knock him out. So Zaki is, not much of a threat. But he still managed to steal the girl. So we are going to try to bash down the door with our face. Realize that it doesn't work. And now we're going to go wake up Gori, who shakes off the explosion. And point at the door and go, Gori, smash. Which we tried to get to work, but yeah, now we have an idea. We point at Gori and tell him to break it open. Gori thinks about it for a moment, just picks up Pogo and slams him into the door, which breaks it. Pogo's hard head is good for something after all. The Devil May Cry 5 trailer's looking good. That's good. But we get out in time to see this. And we fall for a hidden pit trap there. And Gori, not really knowing what to do, just kind of jumps in after us. So they leave the person just walking behind to carry Belle. So now we're back in that flower field. And we can walk any direction we want to. It doesn't matter. We can also run. We just need to travel enough flowers here. And we see Belle walking off. Who turns into Gori because Gori has literally landed on top of us. Which we wake up. And now we are in the dark. You can just kind of, it's a small room. It's basically about 1 screen big. And, there are enemies everywhere. What we want is to find out where that particular cloud that smells like Zaki is coming from. And it's coming from, like, directly above us. And we need to go break down that wall. However, there are some things we want in here. They aren't enemies. Although, I mean, there's no reason to not fight the enemies here. They're not exactly threatening. So I'm not going to go out of my way to avoid them or anything like that. But I don't think you can actually clear them out. I think they just keep respawning. But there are 2 meaty bones in here. 2 meaty bones buried in this place. The trick is to find them. There's one. Okay, and Skull is an enemy of some type. But yeah, the cloud of the meaty bone will look like a meaty bone when we touch it. It's an enemy. That's an enemy. Which you ran into. Because there are these moles. And I wouldn't exactly say they're the most dangerous thing in the game. But they are going to be annoying because there's so many of them. However, they have like no hit points. As long as we hit them for 20 or 30 damage with just about anything we've got. We should be fine. It also means we have a new attack I haven't looked at called Ooh Ooh. And it is literally a zone-wide small damage hit. Only hit one of them. Oh well. You couldn't see it because he was facing away, but basically he just let out a giant scream and his mouth became bestial. Of course we have these things, because kinda sorta we're in the sewers. So, you know, we need giant prehistoric crocodiles in the sewers. Thankfully, these are not the worst enemies in the world. They're not pleasant, but they, as buffed up as I am, really, they're not a huge problem. Especially with his burp command. You just don't want to be directly in front of one, or else it can take a good chunk of your life points. As you'd expect. I mean, if you're going to hit one of these things, you want to hit it from behind, which, as you would expect, would kind of be exactly what you would expect. Cuphead DLC in 2019. Help, remember that is when we're getting Kingdom Hearts 3. Yeah, we have Gotcha I haven't used. I can imagine it would take him a while to make actual DLC for Cuphead. You know? Just because of how much work it is to draw everything in Cuphead. There it is. Okay, there's the other meaty bone. Okay, the cloud is emanating from right there. So now that we know that, we're here. We managed to come back up in this cave, and now onward to find the woman. And now we just kind of jump over it, and Gori breaks physics to get to the other side. And every time we try to cross that hole, the same thing's gonna happen. Pogo will jump over the hole. Gori will just exit out the closest door to end up in the furthest door. Not my best work. So, we have another path here that's full of enemies, most of which we've seen. And it would not be a bad idea to clear it out. So we will keep jumping up. We will get a stronger version of that attack, that jumping attack. The sad part is the stronger version of the jump attack. It does more damage, and it doesn't necessarily reduce your speed, but it has a charge time to it. So after you trigger it, you have to sit there for a bit, and there's a pretty good chance the enemy could have vacated the square you're attacking with it. So I think in that instance, it just damages you for landing on the ground. It's annoying that way. The enemy has it too. Pogo and Gori have leveled up to 10. Gotcha is an interesting little move. He goes up to do squares, and he literally bites a chunk out of whatever he's aimed at, and does some damage, gives the enemy a debuff, and then any damage he takes are recovered as hit points on himself, or any damage he deals is given back to him as hit points, and he gains the exact opposite of whatever happened to the creature. Like you saw get a power down there from his bite, yeah, he got a power up because he bit it. Battletoads? Really? They're still trying to keep that series alive, huh? Good on them, I guess. Yeah, it has been 25 years. I kind of assumed it was kind of dead at this point. It's literally been 25 years since Battletoads and Double Dragon, hasn't it? Mammoths. We love the mammoths for their giant meaty bones. But are kind of annoyed now that we don't have Belle to just one-shot the thing for us. Ow. Gears of War Mobile. I'm not surprised. Good. More giant meaty bones for the giant meaty bone pile. The more of those we have, the better off we are. Oh, good. Yes, we have a lot of meat. We need more. Luckily, I really don't need to spend too much time grinding it right now. For, reasons. I have to admit, I did not play the other Just Cause games, so I could be missing something entirely. But is there really enough left in that series to justify game number 4? I mean, I know, you know, like, Five Nights at Freddy's had like 6, 7, 8, 9, 15 million games in it. Off a very, very limited scope of a premise. Man, talk about sequels everywhere. How many original properties are actually getting mentioned? So far, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things you've mentioned. They're all sequels or DLC. Or, you know, just side games, I guess. There's like no original content listed there at all. And by original, I mean, you know, just new property. I guess you can't reuse that many assets to make a, when you make a new game. Then again, I am the type that would be far too excited to see Stardew Valley 2, so, you know. But, it's just one of those... That's 8 things you've mentioned, and none of them are new properties. That's all people have to get excited about are sequels. A new thing with samurai. Poor Gori. Gori's just getting beaten up. Ah, finally got a new skill for both of them. And we're gonna use that. And his is similar to the gotcha attack. The new one for Gori here is very similar to the gotcha attack. In fact, that you bite someone with it and deal damage, you get some hit points back, and possibly whatever you debuffed off of them gets buffed. Or sometimes, or no, it's just, in his case, it's you pretty much raise up Constitution. That's right. Only problem is it's pure, you have to be in melee range to make it work. Whereas the gotcha allows you to be a square away. It's a lot of wild boar. So we will scream at everybody. Like this. Screaming works. Screaming totally works. Watch Dogs 3, of course. Almost through this little twisty passages. See if these just hang around long enough to show you the ridiculous face. They will. Okay, good. Aww. Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah, I figured that was going to show up. And yeah, there's the face. Just in time to see the end of that fight. Luckily, there's this one guy here if we need to do any crafting of anything. And there is something worth crafting. It requires stone, knives, and hard rocks. And I would craft it now, but it'd be kind of a waste of time because there's only one time I'm actually going to use it. But you get, no, I'll actually just show it off. But let's see, first... if I do this correctly anyway. He makes stone knife. But basically, we, hand him a hard rock and that stone knife, and he apparently carves a Venus figurine out of it. Now, this figurine actually has a decent... It's first of all, it is something you can equip. And it's, for poor Pogo here, it's just not quite as good as anything, but it comes with a whole bunch of bonuses to things you don't see, like poison, fire, and all that. But it actually has an actual use as an item. And when you use it in battle, basically it's an area-wide mid-tier heal. The problem is it takes forever and a day to actually use when you actually trigger it out. And we have giant meaty bones, which are big heals. I mean, they are, you know, like 500 hit points for each person. This might get you 200 hit points per person it hits. But it's still useful for just if you have a turn during an important fight and you don't have anyone using it specifically. Not a bad thing. But dude sleeping there gets bashed on the head to wake him up because he's on guard duty. And we have apparently found the enemy base. And every time we go up there to try to sneak our way past that guard, a friend comes over to wake him up. I say friend loosely. So we need to find a way past there. So we look up here and we're on pretty much just a sheer cliff with no way to, it looks like, drop down without risking breaking something. So we come up here and they've got some female monkeys. Some female apes that has Gori just a little bit excited there. He's kind of doing that little stutter step since he saw the girls, well, monkeys. And he loses his mind. His heart's in his eyes. He runs us over. Plows over pretty much the entire camp because he wants to get to that monkey. He wants to get to those monkeys. They aren't waking up anytime soon. So we gotta figure out which door he went into. I can tell you. But let's see what happens when you enter the wrong door first. You walk in and immediately you're latched into a fight with 15 cavemen. I think it's 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, it's 15 cavemen. Which do not hold up to a screen at all. However, we get pushed out of the cave, and now we are going to have an endless stream of cavemen running after us, no matter how many we kill. And you might think this might be a good spot to level up if you need to grind out some levels. It's not. It really isn't. They're worth 1 experience point apiece. So you would have to come in here and do, you know, you'd have to let 100 of them collide on you. So the best thing you can do is leave the area to refresh that. Also a real Gears of War 5, huh? So, if you try to go in this middle door, you'll get the exact same treatment. You will get the 15 cavemen fight, and then an endless stream of them chasing you down and getting into fights with you till you leave the area. So, we need to go over here. We need to gank some stuff, which gives us an extra stone knife, some more hide, a hard rock, and Gori, surrounded by female monkeys, has knocked the jailers captive. And if you talk to a monkey, it shakes what the good Lord gave it in your direction. They all do this. That's all they do. So we kind of need to ruin Gori's day here. So we beat on him a few times, and then we do this. We pull a Dragon Ball Z-esque double tap on him. And now, as long as we're in this room, we will have these, we will have the 5 female monkeys following us. Which, I mean, that happens. So we're gonna go in here. And if you look, they're still over there. They go back in their cage, but yeah, they are still instantly trying to get to Gori. So now, an empty room, which if we needed more crafting material, including a bone, which is important that we actually have a bone. And now, that one situation that we just escaped from, where we were going to get an endless stream of basically mooks raining down on us to wear us out or something like that, is going to happen, except we've got to go towards the door that the mooks are coming from. So we're just going to have to kind of put up with this. Yes, having a backbone is important. Which is why all these cavemen we are fighting, we are probably doing the equivalent of ripping out their backbones to deal with this, yeah. Spine ripping. And notice he did try to get off his futile little attack there. Did 1 damage. Go you. You just hurt us for a point of damage that is going to be easily gone as soon as we get out of the fight. But these are not meant to be a real challenge. Not in the least. Trying to rely on my old RPG habits of just tapping the A button, which does not work in a game where you've actually got to be tactical with every fight. If I level up from this, I will giggle. And now the music has changed, and the endless parade of mooks has come to an end. And there we see the door that will take us to the end of the stage. Which, fair enough, yes, there is an end of the stage there, but there are two things we want to do before we leave this stage.